The traditional therapeutic approach has been bone marrow transplant or stem cell or cord blood transplant, all variations of the same theme, to get good cells into the patient's body, and particularly try and get them past the blood-brain barrier, because the primary focus for transplant has been cognitive, has been to try and get into the brain. And as we all know, it's a challenge to get across that blood-brain barrier. But they continue to make progress in that. They continue to make the preconditioning for the therapies, the chemotherapy and so on, less invasive, less abusive of the child, a little more straightforward, but it's a very challenging therapy to go through. And what we traditionally have seen with transplant is a good transplant will dramatically slow the disease, but it doesn't stop it. So there's instead of a very steep progression, you get a much more shallow progression. But that can be good quality of life and extend life as well. Emerging therapies include enzyme replacement therapy, starting with Suhr, now Takeda. They're in clinical trial on enzyme replacement therapy. And the bulk of the effort today is actually in the gene therapy space. Orchard Therapeutics started their, this therapy was developed long before Orchard acquired it, but the work on this started back in about 2005, and finally got approval from the European Commission and the EMA late in 2020. Has just been approved by NICE in the UK, and it's available also in France and Germany. The therapy was developed in Italy, so its first approvals are all occurring in Europe. The sponsor, Orchard Therapeutics, is working with the FDA we hope, to get an FDA approval as soon as they can. It's a work in process. And here at World, there are a handful of other exhibitors, and some that aren't here, that are also working on variations of that gene therapy. So the approach to get those corrected genes into the body and then how they interact with different parts of the body, they're all a little bit different. So we're very excited. We have 6 gene therapies that we know of that are being investigated for MLD. Most of them, other than Orchard, are back in the lab in basic science, preclinical, moving towards clinical studies. But we're very excited about that because MLDs, as I explained earlier, MLD is a complicated disease, and the different forms of the disease might respond to different types of therapies. If you have more cognitive versus motor skill problems, you might want a different therapy. Might be just depend where you are. You might have access to a therapy in a hospital in your town that somebody else would have access to a different therapy in a different town. So we're excited about the options. We're excited about giving parents choices as we go forward.